think I forgot how to work this thing. So, I'm back. Finally. A few things have changed with some of the tanks and ponds. I've gotten a few new things, and I've also downgraded a little bit. I'll talk more about that as we go. Nothing major, just a few of the smaller tanks that I wasn't really doing much with anymore. Now, as the title and thumbnail say, this is going to be more of kind of like an outside pond video because I haven't shown that pond a whole lot, and it's also been a while since I've done a feeding video with it, and it's pretty warm outside today for it being winter, so I figured I would do a feeding video, but I also want to kind of update you guys on a few of the bigger tanks here inside. Not all the tanks, but a few of them, and just kind of show you what's been going on with them. In the video that I left you guys off on, I got those 2 electric Blue Jack Dempseys, and I explained that I was going to keep them in that 10-gallon for the time being until they got a little more size to them, and then I was going to move them in the 75-gallon tank with some bigger fish. Well, it wasn't long that they were in that 10-gallon because I went ahead and pulled them out and put them in this 75. I didn't really think anything was going to bother them, and, well, that held to be true. So here is the 75-gallon tank where the electric Blue Jack Dempseys are. There they are right there, kind of hard to see in the dead spot of the light, but everybody in here is doing great. There's the big banded leporinis, got the strawberry leporinis, got all of the bucktooth tetras. There's actually 5 of these guys now. Someone randomly brought just a single one into the store, so I figured I would take it, and he fitted well with the group that were in here. These guys don't bother anybody. For anyone that's new here, I've had these guys in here for a long time with these fish, several months. They don't bother anybody. The biggest thing with these bucktooth tetras, you can't have fish in there that resemble them. You can't have fish in there that have shiny silver scales like them. And as long as you don't have anything like that, and all the other fish are, you know, colorful fish like these fish are, then they're usually not going to mess with anybody. Gold Severum's looking great. The blue Acaras actually spawned in this tank. The bigger one's the male. The babies, they didn't last that long in here. There's just too much going on for them to survive in here. But if they do it again, I will try and take advantage of it and try and swoop the babies out and see if we can actually raise them up. But yeah, the electric Blue Jack Dempseys, they are looking really, really good. And they're still fairly small. They look even smaller in here because everybody in here is pretty good size and it's such a big tank. But as I explained in that last video, these are a slow growing fish. They do not grow very quickly, just like the ones I had several years ago that I got to a pretty good size. Those were also very, very slow growing fish. So you have to be patient with these guys. But if you give it some time, feed them the right foods, and have them in the right conditions, they will turn into a really, really nice fish. Now here's a tank that I did make some changes to the last time that you guys saw this tank. This is now my Tanganyikan tank, so nothing but Tanganyikan cichlids in here. We've got some little Brachardi up in here. There's 4 of those little guys. That Le Lupe that I've had forever, I mean a long, long time. And then this fairly good size Gelita chromis. I do want to add a few more of these guys, and if I could find them, a few more Le Lupe, and just kind of let those guys grow up in here. But yeah, it looks great. Rocks look great. As you can tell, I've got a bunch of Anubias in here, and just kind of letting this tank ride right now. To the legend himself, Chungus the flowerhorn. Not much to say here. This guy looking big and mean as always. This is a different light than what I had on here the last time. It's a different LED. It doesn't have any blue LEDs in it, so it kind of washes out his look a little bit, but he still looks great. I also added that UV sterilizer back there. I think I had that in here though the last time you guys saw this tank. I was dealing with some clarity problems in here, and finally I've got this water, as you can tell, crystal clear. But yeah, this guy, mean as it gets right here. Here's another tank that I recently rescaped. As you can tell, I took out all of the dragonstone that was in here and replaced it with this rock called Sirius stone. It actually kind of resembles dragonstone a little bit, kind of like a gray version of it. Kept all the big cryptocorn plants in here, and I also added these plants in the back. These are called octopus plants, and it's kind of just like a weed, honestly, and this stuff grows just like it. This stuff, it takes off really, really quickly. I started off with just 3 little stems, and it is really filled in the back, so that looks really nice. But yeah, all the fish are doing really great. You can see the pea puffers here out in the front. These guys are wanting to be fed, and you can also tell there's a couple new fish in here. There's some Harlequin rasboras right there. There's a few ember tetras. And then there's one little lonely neon. All those fish actually came out of the 2 beta tanks that I had. Those were 2 of the 3 tanks that I took down because I wasn't really doing anything with them. And I figured all the fish that were in there, they could go in here. I didn't have the betas anymore. There's a little Cory cat right there. And then that blue-eyed bristlenose pleco back there. It's actually a female, and I know someone with a male, and so I'm going to try to get the male from those people and see if we can't get some babies out of these guys. But yeah, this tank it's doing pretty good. There's one of the bigger puffers out here in the front. So yeah. So here we are, the 800-gallon pond. Yeah, it's a little bit low right now, but I usually keep it like this in the wintertime because, well, less water means less heating. Right now the pond is sitting at 75 degrees. That's the actual temperature. That is the temp that the heater is heating to, but it will not hit 84 today. It's just a little too cool out. It's actually pretty warm out today, but it's still not going to hit 84. There's the gar right there, albino Oscar. That is one of the newest fish in here. He was not in here, I don't believe, the last time you guys saw this pond. The OG largemouth right there. There's the big red-tailed tiger shovel-nose hybrid. That guy is now huge. I don't know how big he was the last time you guys saw him, but he is pushing 20 inches now. We're going to feed him here in a second. There's the big peacock over there. I've got a story to tell about him in a second. The marble chars are hiding somewhere. That's the other two big catfish. They'll come out when we feed here in a second, though. Really quickly, I wanted to show you guys the 300-gallon pond. As you can tell, there's a couple new fish in here. Some butterfly koi. That's the biggest one. Then that gold one right there, and then that white one. That's not a butterfly, but it's still another koi. And as you can tell, there's no turtle basking dock. That's because I took all the turtles that were in here and I moved them in here. So for temporarily, just right now, I've got that little floating dock in there. That's one of the reasons why I have the pond low, so it could kind of anchor onto that fish cave right there at the top of it, so it's actually a stable dock that they can get up on. And yes, I have seen them using it. They were just on it when I walked out here. But the reason why I did that is because in the springtime, I'm going to be turning this pond into an African cichlid pond. I'm waiting until the springtime, so that way I don't have to heat it, and I could just rely on the natural heating of the warm weather. But this thing is going to be slam full of Mbuna African cichlids for the most part. Yes, I'm going to pull the comets and the goldfish out. We're going to pull those rocks out, and I'm going to leave the sand in here, but I'm going to put some big rocks in here. I just haven't decided what yet, but that's going to be really, really cool. But that is why I pulled the turtles out of here. And they've done just fine in here with the big fish. They don't chase anybody in here, and none of the big fish mess with them, so that's good. Silver sides, main food that I feed this pond. This bag will last me about a week and a half to 2 weeks in the wintertime. In the summertime, though, this only lasts just about a week, sometimes not even that, just because they don't eat as much in the wintertime, so I can get away with not feeding as much. I've talked about these before, but they're just little frozen saltwater minnows, and they go crazy for them. This Oscar is strange. It's almost like he doesn't see stuff that's right in front of him all the time. You can see the bass got that one. Feed the big catfish, and everybody else will start coming out as well. You put it right in front of him. That's touching him, and it's almost like he doesn't see directly in front of him. Give the gar one. And they just go crazy. I actually stuck the GoPro in here a few weeks ago and got some cool underwater footage. I have to do that again. But on a day like today, in the wintertime, I try to take advantage of it because this is the kind of day that they're going to eat a lot more on a warmer day like this. And here come the marble achara. There's one right there. That's actually the one with no eyes. And I'm actually going to sell one of these marble acharas. I haven't decided which one. I don't really care, to be honest. And I'm doing that because I want to add a tigrinus in here. I know it's going to be hard to find. There's the other one right there. I know one's going to be really, really hard to find, and I know it's going to be small and not big enough to go into this pond when I get it. But that is what I want to get. I want that to be the fourth catfish in here. I mean, technically I could add it in here with both of the marble acharas, but I just don't want that many catfish in here. There is also a bullhead catfish in here, but he rarely comes out in the day like this. But I just think it'd be too much catfish in here because all of these catfish, minus the bullhead, are going to continue growing and getting bigger and bigger. So I don't think that would work. Now, I mentioned the peacock. He does not really eat when it's like this. In the wintertime, he barely eats any, but a fish his size, they can do that. They're not as active. And like, as I mentioned with the other fish, their metabolism slows down and they just don't eat as much. But about a month ago, we had a really, really big cold front come through, and it was cold enough to where I did not think it was a good idea to leave him out here. So what I did is actually pulled him out and put him in the African cichlid tank. Had to pull some of the Africans out, but It did work out in the end. I left them in there for about a week or so and then moved them back out here, but unfortunately it was just too cold for this pond that I ended up losing the tiger Oscar. That was one of the original fish that I had in here, and I also lost a red devil. That was a newer fish that you guys had not seen. However, I since have replaced the red devil. He's not quite used to me yet, so that's why he's not out right now. So now I've just got to replace the tiger Oscar, and then we'll be back to where we were as far as the total number of fish. But other than all that, everything's about the same. As you can tell, there's, you know, some hairy algae down there on the rocks, but the algae is a lot lower, and it's a lot easier to deal with in the wintertime like this, being that the sun rays are just not as strong. And this pond's also underneath this awning right here, so that helps out a lot as well. But I got to tell you, the water clarity is as good as it gets right now. And the fish may not be as active right now as they would be in the summertime, but they still look really good. And for the most part, everybody is still pretty much how they usually are. Did not have time to film an outro for this video, but I just wanted to say really quickly, moving forward, expect videos to be coming out probably around once a week, so around every Wednesday or Thursday, and there may be some weeks where I'm able to push out more than one video, but right now there's just not a whole lot going on since it's kind of cold outside, and a lot of my tanks are kind of where I want them to be right now, and you guys will see more of that moving forward. But I am excited to be back, excited to make some new content now. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.